Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Tuesday edition. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be good today. I cannot wait to get into the meat of this topic today. The Florida State snub has gone far beyond FSU Nation. It has now encompassed the entire world. CNN is doing stories. Fox News is doing stories. Everybody's doing stories. Why has this resonated so far beyond college football? We have the answer for you today, and we're going to get into it. Also, we're going to be talking some Bucks today with Scott Reynolds of the Pewter Report. He will join us at 10:30. The Bucks got a critical game against the Falcons, and we'll look ahead to that, look back at Sunday's game. What did we learn about the Buccaneers? Boy, that was grotesque. After watching all that great college football, that was grotesque to watch that this weekend. Trevor Lawrence injured last night. The Bolts with a huge win last night. A little payback to your Dallas Stars, and that's a good time to bring you in. Tim Hamm, IndyCar Tim, joining us from Dallas, our DSP media affiliate. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Yeah, that was kind of a shocker for us here in Dallas last night, that final score. But like you said, it was revenge for, 8-1 the other night. So, and you knew,
Yep.
I knew it was, it wasn't going to be another 8-1 fiasco. That was an anomaly. Obviously, the Lightning are way better than that. And the Stars aren't that good. So,
Right.
it was a good matchup, man.
Stars are pretty good. I thought they.
Well, no, they're good. They're not that good. They're not going to beat everybody 8-1. I don't think the
right.
Lightning
Of course,
are
yeah.
bad enough. So, but no, the Stars are kind of rolling right now and riding the heels here locally of the. And I hate to keep bringing this up, a Texas Rangers World Series.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
So
we'll talk some Rays today as well, as they're getting ready to jettison all their popular players and piss their fans off even more. Although the GM says that's not going to happen.
of course.
Let's definitely believe him.
Right.
All right, so that's the show today. We got Scott Reynolds. Ryan Neese is going to join us, former Buccaneer, has a foundation here locally, former college football player as well. He definitely has some opinions on the Bucks and what happened to Florida State. And Tom Block, FSU sideline reporter who was there in Charlotte and, of course, was there for the reveal party, will give us a firsthand feeling for what it was like in that room when the Noles got snubbed, which I think is going to be a very interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So great show coming your way. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show as we get into the meat of this. I want to start off this monologue by looking at this from a kind of a macro situation at FSU. And while everybody will look at me and they know I'm an FSU guy, I would like for a moment for you to kind of put that aside. I try to be objective in so many of my things. And actually, I was the one, Tim, as you know, saying, I think FSU needs some style points in these games to get in, because I wasn't trusting ESPN. I knew what was going on behind the scenes. And I thought they did need some style points because they were looking – when Kirk Herbstreit said it a month ago, my antenna went up. I was like, when he was on game day and he started pointing at Florida State down in the corner in their big board thing saying, that's the team. That's the team, folks. Are they really worthy? And then told me how much better Oregon is than FSU and how much they're the best team. That didn't work out. He didn't know who the best teams were. So I felt it then, And, of course, the ACC commissioner, Jim Phillips, sitting on his ass doing nothing the entire time, just getting ready to take it from as the ACC did. And you saw it coming. And then it just kind of built on itself. Every college football show kind of built on itself. And listen, you can laugh about Rick Scott, the senator from Florida, requisitioning all text and communications from the committee and ESPN, by the way. Yep. He wants to see what's going on back and forth. You can laugh at that all you want, but there's a reason why he did that. And it goes far beyond college football, folks. And we're going to get into that in a second. And everybody wants transparency. Even Paul Feinbaum says, why can't we have transparency? Why are we doing this in a locked room, in secret ballot? Well, there's a reason for that as well. Because it's when it's in secret, you can control what's going on. Corruption is much more easy in the darkness. Is it not? Of course it is. So this is where we are. And when you look at the injustice that has happened to FSU, and why is it resonating? Why is it on all these news shows? It's because it's a microcosm of what's going on in this world today, folks. People feel like they are powerless. These mega corporations own everything, do whatever the hell they want. The powerful can do whatever the F they want. And they show it to you every day of your life. And people are effing tired of it. This situation is a manifestation of all that frustration that is built up within America. The ideals that have been torn down in the past 3 to 4 years or even the past decade. People are effing sick of it. And this situation encompasses all of it. A corrupt major corporation in ESPN putting their bludgeoning FSU because of a political vendetta that they have against FSU for trying to break up the ACC and cost them hundreds of millions of dollars in their grants and rights deal that they have with the ACC that is so below market value. And FSU was going to, or ESPN was going to protect that at every point they had. So that's kind of a backdrop. But this is why people are so pissed, because the FSU is powerless to do anything about it. And it all happens in secret. Everything happens in secret. We can't see what's going on in the committee. Why is it a secret ballot? Who are these people? Why do they have so much power? Why can't we see what they voted? Even Paul Feinbaum said that they should be transparent in this. Why is it secret? Oh, well, we don't want them to get any backlash. Then don't get on the committee. Don't do it this way. It's ridiculous. And I hope, listen, Scott Jeeves, our attorney of record, and many other attorneys I've talked to have said, look, getting these emails and text messages is going to take months and months and months. People will move on by then. But I do want to see if there's anything there. And will there be a smoking gun? If we actually got the true non-deleted text messages, yeah, I think we'd see a lot of stuff that we don't want to see. If we saw how this sausage was made, people would be outraged, absolutely outraged. So this is where we are. And sports is supposed to be that spot that is immune to this corruption, right? This is supposed to be where the playing field is level, where you put the ball out there and made the best team win. And that's why we love sports. That's why we get so emotionally involved in this. The underdog can win. The underdog can win. The team without a quarterback can go into hostile territory against a rival and win a game without a quarterback, without a great offense. Yes, there's more than one way to win a game, and that's exactly what FSU did. They can go to win a conference championship game, and you can laugh about Louisville all you want. That team was 10-2, scoring 35 points a game. FSU embarrassed them. Their defense embarrassed them. When they were put up against the wall after dropping a punt, what did the defense do? It got a turnover and turned the game. How much more can these kids do? They were told this is what you have to do. You go win every game and you get in. That's the precedent that we've set. You do everything you're supposed to do. You fight your ass off and you win against all odds. And you know what the mega corporation is going to say? They're going to smoke that cigar and say, that's good, kid. That's good. Did real good there. Yeah, you fought your ass off, man. You did everything you're supposed to do. Yeah. Screw you. We're the ones holding the cards, boy.
And we made all the money.
And we make all the money, so we make all the rules. So we're going to take our little SEC brand in Alabama. We're going to put them in there. And then we're going to take Texas and jump them from 7-3 because they beat Oklahoma State. Did you see that win? Oh, they scored lots of points. It was pretty, lots of stuff out there. They're a big brand. You know where they're going next year? SEC. Yeah, we got that SEC package next year. Did you know that? That's right. Not on CBS anymore. That's ESPN's. So, sorry, boys. Sorry, boys. It damns the brakes. Damns the brakes because we got to promote that SEC thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, FSU, remember when you tried to screw us? Take all that money from us in that grant rights deal? Try to break up the SEC? How'd that turn out for you? Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, I know. You were just trying to do what's best for you and get all the money that you deserve and your self-interest. And you were doing what's right for your players and your fans. And that's nice. That's all nice. That's all great. That's noble. We hold all the cards. Sorry about that. Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're going to do this in secret. We're going to do secret ballot. I'll send a little message to some of them committee members that I know, and I'll say, you done with all that stupid talking that's all for flowers and stuff, and so all the people can think like it's impartial. That's a good one. We came up with that one. That's a good one, isn't it? Yeah, we just going to text them, tell them who to vote for. You thought you was going to go out there and win them games without a quarterback and you was going to get in, FSU. That's funny. That's funny. It ain't the way to work. Not in this world, boys. It's us big money people with the big cigars, the big fat guys sitting in them big leather chairs. We're going to decide everything and ain't nothing you can do about it. So you little Seminoles there, you just better bend over because here we come. SEC's coming at you. Now, you can come join us if you want. Get in the real conference, and then we'll take care of you. But until then, sorry, boys. It's our party. You ain't invited. That's how it went down.
That's preposterous, JP. That
That's
would
how it
never
went
happen.
down. Yeah, that's how it went down. This is why everybody is outraged. This is why everybody is outraged. Sports is supposed to be better than this. We're supposed to be better than this. You're supposed to be able to win it on the field. It's supposed to be fair. Now, here's the deal. You said, you have admitted in the Heather Dinich column, which everybody wants to say is so great. Basically what she said is they didn't like FSU wasn't pretty enough. That it was we don't want to put one of those on in semifinals and our ratings to go down. We don't want that. So that's okay. And that's okay. Here's where we need to be, folks. Here's where we need to be. All right. You have told the world that this has nothing to do with competition. It's a beauty pageant. We want the prettiest game with lots of points. Okay. That's what we want. We want to have we want the sexy thing. We don't want the real competition. We want the sexy thing. And isn't this what this world is all about, right? We don't want the substance. We want the flash and dash. Why don't you just play the damn thing with Instagram models, for God's sakes? If that's what you want, maybe that'll get the most clicks. Put them in freaking lingerie. Let them run around. Maybe that'll get an even better rating. And then we'll call that the national champion. See,
I'd watch that.
Yeah, I would too. ESPN comes up with this thing, said this is our magical playoff, and we're going to. And now they've even told you we don't even want the best teams or who deserves to get in. We're just going to have a beauty pageant. Okay, so go have your beauty pageant. That's fine. And whatever you come up with, whatever calls you want made in that game to get your number one. Who's to think you're not doing that too, right? To get your best matchup and fine. That'll be your beauty pageant national championship. Why don't you just call it that? And you can put a sash on them. So Alabama, get up there and put a sash on them. We the national, we have sash. And then FSU can go play Georgia. And I hope both teams send all their best players. Probably won't happen. Because that's the whole system is corrupt as well, right? So, but it would be nice to see those teams play at full whatever they got, right? Can FSU, mighty FSU, even with a backup quarterback, beat mighty Georgia? That'd be great. And then, folks, guess what? Historically speaking, there have been split national champions in the past, many of them. As recent as 1991 with Colorado and Georgia Tech. Both teams claimed national champions because there were different votes back then. Who's to say that ESPN gets to claim because they've admitted this is a beauty pageant now? They admitted it. So who's to say that you have destroyed the credibility of your playoff? You did. You did that, not me. You did that. Public opinion can decide that. And most public opinion says you did that. You even admitted it through Heather Dinich, your mouthpiece. They weren't pretty enough. Okay, fine. You go have your beauty pageant. We'll look at all the games through the entirety of the season, and the AP voters can say, you know what? FSU beat Georgia, who you told me was the best team all year long until the last point where you had to manipulate it. If they go and beat them and have a win over Georgia, Alabama had a great win. What if FSU beats and then Alabama wins off the beauty pageant? They got sitting there with one loss. FSU beat Georgia. Alabama beat Georgia. FSU beat LSU by more than Alabama did. But guess what? Who's got the -1? That'd be Alabama. That's big wart on your beauty pageant face there. Big old wart. She got a zit. It's a big one too. It's got pus all over it. FSU's beautiful. Now we have a beauty pageant. They got 0. It's -0. So then who's the national champion? You think the coaches are going to look at Alabama, look at FSU and go, oh yeah, Alabama. No. They've coached. They know the difference between a win and a loss. And the coaches poll is going to put FSU number 1. And the AP, if they have any integrity whatsoever left in the media, they'll put FSU number one. How can you look if FSU were to beat Georgia and Alabama were to went out? How could you look at their resumes and say Alabama is better, especially after USF was driving down the field in the fourth quarter to tie them? USF. And we don't even need to talk about the Auburn game. So if FSU were to do that and they get the number one vote, now this is not UCF, folks, with all due respect. And everybody's, oh, you just be like UCF and claim a national championship. UCF was not ranked number one in the AP. They probably weren't even in the top 10 or at least the top 8 at the end of the year after beating Auburn. They weren't. Let's just be honest. This is a totally different deal. They were not an undefeated Power 5 conference champion. They did not beat an LSU, did not beat a Clemson at home, did not beat a Georgia number one team all year long, a Louisville team, a Florida team. No, they did not. So this is not a UCF thing. Stop with that. And the Liberties defeated one up, but so stupid. You're showing your ignorance when you say stuff like that. So yes, FSU, hang the effing banner. Mint the freaking rings. You're the national champion. You are the national championship. Just because ESPN, who admitted their corrupt and beauty pageant ridiculousness, claimed the legitimate one. Who's going to, from the groundswell that I see, I think I know where the nation is on this. I think they're with Florida State. Tim, am I wrong?
No.
I mean, what is I'm a little bit in a bubble here. I get it. But from an outsider looking in, everything that I just laid out, is that wrong?
No, and I am an outsider looking in because I have no dog in any of those fights. You know, I would rather see Florida State in. I told everybody going into it when I did my top 4, not that anybody cares about my top 4, but Florida State was number 4. Alabama was out. It was Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Florida State, and Alabama was out. And that's, to me, that's the most fair. And, you know, all the SEC, and I'm an SEC guy. All the SEC guys are going to come at you. All the Alabama guys got into a somewhat friendly, heated exchange with former Crimson Tide national championship winner George Teague, who also played for the Cowboys, Packers, and Dolphins for a little bit. You know, George, and because he's obviously a very passionate Alabama guy. And I'm like, man, and he even admitted all season, Alabama's down. I'm worried about this game. He wouldn't do that in public, but I was shocked. I almost fell out of my chair when Alabama was thrust across the screen like that.
Yeah, I tell you what, that image is burned in my brain. You know, I have this videographic brain of traumatic events in my life. My dog was run over when I was 5 years old. I can just close my eyes right now and just see that video. You know, I had these moments. Now that has become one of those moments when that screen, when they put up number 4 and that Alabama logo went in there. I actually was recording my reaction on my phone. I should probably post that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you should.
I was just, man, there were parts of me in the last 24, 48 hours. I'm like, why are you so emotionally invested in this? Why is everybody so? It's just freaking football. And that's when it kind of clicked with me that this is way more than football, man. This is about way more than football. This is about what's happening in our world today. And people are effing sick of it.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. And that's why, you know, we don't have much redress, right? You're not getting in the college football playoff. You know, you're screwed. If you got fired for your job because of stupid things that were forced upon you, you got no redress, right? If you're sick because of certain things that happened to you that were forced upon you, you have no redress. People are sick and all the secrecy and everything and the bullshit that has gone on for far too long. People are sick of it. And this is just another manifestation of how we have to just sit back and take it. And people are sick of it. And I think it's so interesting that the politicians are jumping in. Trump, you know, blamed DeSantis for it. You know, never miss an opportunity to make political points, right? As Trump is going to go after. It's just like so ridiculous. You know, Rick Scott jumping in, which I like. I want to see the transparency. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It'll never happen, right? Just like it's every other politician that wants to keep stuff secret. And even if it comes out, people are like, oh, that's not real. And OJ Simpson jumped in. It's like the committee got it right. Thanks, OJ. I want you on the other team, buddy, whenever I can get it. It's just
right.
It's just so fun. It's so unbelievable. And I don't think it's going to stop. I really don't. And I hope this idea, because I'm not the only one talking about it. I have a lot of people that are talking about it. And this is, and Tim, you've covered the sport for its history. Your father played for Bear Bryant. You're as good a historian about college football as anybody. You know, kids today don't know anything about a split national championship or anything like that. It was never the best way to decide a national champion, but when you got 130 teams, it's hard to have a tournament like basically the NFL does.
Right.
But there's historical precedent for split national championships. And if there was ever a time for that to happen, it's today. Agreed?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I heard somebody, God, I can't remember who it was now on TV, somebody of note, who said the only fair way for the committee, and this is before it came out, the rankings came out, the only fair way at this point to make this happen and for everybody to be happy, and not that you're trying to make everybody happy, but you want it to be fair,
right,
was for the committee to announce an emergency 16 playoff rather than keeping the 4. And obviously Florida State was going to be in there, and I think they had an argument for Oregon, even though they lost to Washington. I think those were the 6 that because literally they can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want.
They really can.
Obviously. So they could have said, you know what? Let's just go to 6. We're going to 12 next year. Let's just go to 6 this year.
And isn't it funny?
Can play.
Isn't it funny? It's like people are like, well, that's the who made the rules? ESPN. Who the hell are they? They're a freaking rules. TV corporation. But no, those are the rules. We decided. So what? Oh, the commissioners decided. Oh, they're the fat cats that have been, taking bribes and doing backroom deals their entire freaking lives, and basically the people that make up this committee. Are you kidding me? These are the bastions of holding objectivity and the sports credibility in the cradle of justice. Are you kidding me? These are the most corrupt people in the world. My God. And when people are like, oh, well, that's the institution that decides the national championship. That's the college football playoff committee, right? That's what they decided. So shut up, JP. You're just the FSU honk. I mean, shut up. Quit crying about it. You're an idiot. Like you think this is like some government, or like we could trust that anyway. Like there's some impartial committee. The conflicts of interest. Yeah. Tim, can we just jump into that for a second? The conflicts of interest involved in this committee are unbelievable. First of all, it's owned by ESPN. If they had a vendetta against Florida State, and why wouldn't they? As I explained, somebody tried to take hundreds of millions of dollars out of your pocket. Would you be pissed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would. And I understand that. But you can't let that infect how you're supposedly making a objective and fair decision. That's the point of this whole monologue, folks, is they destroyed their own credibility here. They did it, not me. They did it. And they admitted to it. All their talking heads are admitting, well, it's because FSU lost their quarterback and they're just not pretty enough. It's not a beauty contest. You've set up rules for 10 years. Your precedent is Cincinnati got in. They're not even a Power 5, but they were undefeated. They beat Notre Dame. I mean, come on.
Hypocrisy.
Why did Florida State, after 10 years, become the redheaded stepchild? Why was it them that for the first time ever, it was they aren't pretty enough? They put TCU in, who, by the way, beat Michigan. Michigan's the fraud here. Texas is the fraud. I don't even want to talk about Alabama. I think they're a pretty good football team right now. Nick Saban's done a hell of a job. As an FSU person, that's the team I don't want to play, is Alabama. Right. Jalen Milroe's balling. Although, Auburn should have beat them. So maybe they're not as big and bad as we thought I don't think they would run the football on FSU at all. And I think their quarterback would get destroyed by FSU's defensive line, especially with Darrell Jackson coming in. It would be a damn fair fight. That's what I'm saying. But we're never going to see that, unfortunately. And they've admitted that it's a beauty contest. So then let's give them what they want. Their illegitimate beauty contest. And let's lampoon it every chance we get. Let's put memes out there with tiaras and sashes on them. Not to be sexist, but
and you know how I feel right now. I feel like you remember before BCS, right?
Yeah.
When it was just a vote, right? There was no playoff system. There were bowl games, and occasionally you had a 1 versus a 2 in the Sugar Bowl or the Orange Bowl or the Rose Bowl or whatever it was, right? and then you still had to wait until Sunday or whatever for the rankings to come out. Oh, they're national champions. But it was based on a vote of people not at the game, on the other side of the country in most cases.
Not great.
And we sat here and they did it like that for 100 years. And we just laughed, right? We laughed and we were like, there's got to be a playoff system, right?
Yeah, it's got to be a better way.
And now we've got the playoff system.
Yeah.
And it's just as flawed as the voting system that we had for 100 years.
Well, I think maybe I'm being a little naive here, but maybe 20, 30 years ago, we felt like, if we had a playoff, that it would be, and we had 4 teams or 6 teams, whatever, that it would be a little bit more objective. And I think it is. Yeah. It's way better than the old system. There's no question about that. No question about that. But it's still imperfect because it's subject to corruption and big money and influence, and it's never been more direct example of it than this. And that's why people are so pissed. So I think it's a fascinating conversation. I'd love to get your take on this. Hit us up in the comments on YouTube, on Facebook, and we'll try to get to a lot of them. We got to get to Scotty Reynolds, who's coming up. We got a couple of minutes here to get to some of the comments. Tim, I don't know if you see some that you want to pop up there, please do as I scroll through these.
There's a bunch of them. You guys keep them coming. These are great.
Yeah, Buck's Basement. Why would anyone want to win the NFC South? This is what you get from winning the South. A date with the Eagles or Cowboys, huh? 19th pick in the draft. Keep the head coach. First place get. Yeah, we're going to get the Bucks in a little bit, Buck's Basement, and you're 100% right on that.
Here's something interesting also from Buck's Basement that I feel like this probably describes most of the country. Like, nobody cares because they hate FSU. So, I get it.
Yeah.
It's not about the school. It's not about who it is. It's about what's happening.
Is it fair though? Is it fair though to say that maybe because I've seen a lot of people that have nothing to do with FSU or college football enraged by this. I was talking to a couple of people last night at the Lightning game that were just like, "Oh man, FSU got screwed." And I'm like, "Are you an FSU fan?" No, I don't even watch college football, man. That was bad. I mean, it's just. And I know you'd say, well, that's an uneducated fan. Well, it's resonating beyond that because even the uneducated fan knows what's fair and what's not fair. When you depart from 10 years of precedent just to screw one team, and people want to know why. And I think I've laid it out pretty well about this political vendetta that certainly underlies because, as we always say, right, follow the money.
Yeah.
No FSU had the best. I just don't understand how people can't understand. And I listen to all the different players that are on ESPN and whatnot talking about. And it seems like the players mostly understand that it's not about one player. It's about the team. All the teams are saying FSU beat. That was with JT. I would bet big money you would not beat any of these teams right now. See, that's the weird part. Is Buck's Basement. You should be smarter than that because teams evolve. And you didn't. I watched every one of FSU's games this year. Jordan Travis was not the reason FSU won most of these games. He was not. Last year, I would say yes. This year, no, because they're so much more talented at all these other positions. Trey Benson is a first-round NFL running back, and he single-handedly won the Miami game and the Florida game with big runs. Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, the receiver. I mean, has made humongous plays. And then this defense took over late in the season. This defense was not very good early on in the season, but they shut down Jaden Daniels, the only one that, that could shut down Jaden Daniels in the second half, right? Alabama didn't do that. Yeah, he's probably going to win the Heisman. Alabama didn't do that, and that was at a neutral site. So, I mean, it was their defense and their other players. You guys act like this is a team that's totally dependent on their quarterback. They are not. And they proved that the last 2 games in hostile situations. I mean, that's what's ridiculous is, Jordan. Yes, did their offense look poor in this last? Yes, because that's the way they needed to play to win the game. Would you rather their neophyte quarterback that hasn't taken reps with these teams drop back and throw 45 times and get picked off and lose the game? Then you say Mark Norvell's an idiot. Football's about making adjustments and look at the heroic effort of this defense. This is what you want teams to do. You want them to rise up and come up with different ways to win games and show their championship medal. Isn't that a better football team as a team? It's not about one guy. And you made it about one guy. And that's the and that doesn't you should be Bucks basement. I'm ashamed of you. You're smarter than this. You know football. It's not about one guy. Come on. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Scott Reynolds is going to join us from the Pewter Report. 3-minute break. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Scott Jeeves, great dude, local dude, has offices in St. Pete and Tampa, and they are local. Go see them. Come into their office, not like some of these national firms that won't even give you a call back. If you're in an accident, call the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. They'll take it to trial. They'll do what they need to do to get you the best settlement. JeevesLawgroup.com. Back in 3 with Scott Reynolds. Stay with us. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. You need to get your testosterone right, which I'm feeling good, and your nutrition right. That's something else that Scott G. My good friend Chris Lugo does. So I'm confusing all the multitude of sponsors we have here. There's so many. want to be on board.
Did you OD on the test today?
I think I did. Yeah. I think a couple extra milliliters in the syringe there. Chris Lugo, he's my man at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. All right, let's bring in Scott Reynolds here as I screw up the live read so tremendously. Man, it never screws up, especially with his hair. The great Scott Reynolds for the Pewter Report. What's up, my friend?
I'm doing great. Just want to say I had a chance to meet Dr. Chris Lugo. I took your advice, and advertising on this show works. I went to Bay Area Modern Medicine, had a great consultation with Chris, starting my testosterone therapy next week.
Awesome.
Hats off to you, JP. Great reference, man. That guy's solid. I mean, I've never had a doctor spend an hour and a half talking to me about every aspect of my personal health, going over every single line item on my blood work. It was just amazing. And usually, like when you go see your primary care doctor, whatever, they circle the 3 things that are wrong: your cholesterol, this and that. And I'm like, okay, what about like the other 13 vials of blood that you took? What does that say, right? And it's like he was thorough. He went through every single line item. I mean, so far so great with him. I'm 1 for 1 in my appointments with him. So, very good, strong first impression.
And you'll get great results too, because they'll see it through. All right, that's great. Now I don't have to do the live read anymore. I just re-rack that. You just did it, man. That's why I shut up most of the time. I'm like, let him go. Yes, thank you. Chris was coming on the show later today, but we bumped him for Tom Block, FSU sideline report. He's like, yeah, that's more important.
Yeah.
Get him on. I'll come on.
But I just want to say, one of us is happy about their bowl game.
Good.
I get to see my Cats in Orlando.
That's right. How about that?
Bowl. Yeah.
You don't have to fly out to some frozen tundra to see them, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Congrats to you. But I will. Since you're not an FSU guy and football.
Well, I'm a little FSU guy by default because I know that you're heavily invested in the program. The late, great Mark Cook was a Seminole diehard fan through and through. So I certainly have an appreciation for the FSU program. And I think I've shared with you before, UCF is kind of my Florida team. I kind of latched onto just because they're closer. And I like to watch live college football. Undefeated at going to the bounce house. I saw them in the Gasparilla Bowl beat the Gators, which I know you appreciated a couple years ago. So I'm a little bit of a UCF loyalist in that regards. But as I said on our Pewter Report podcast on Monday, I think that FSU should take a page out of the UCF playbook because the precedent has already been set and say, screw you to the college football committee. If they beat Georgia, which last time I checked was the 2-time defending national champions, right? If they go undefeated and they beat the defending national champion in a bowl game to which they're going to be the underdog, right? Then I think Florida State has every right to claim a national championship say, screw you. Because UCF did it because the CFB committee said, you're not worthy of being in the discussion, right? And they went out there and they beat an Auburn team, an SEC power at the time, and finished undefeated, and they kind of got mocked and, jeered a little bit. But you know what? It says national champions in their stadium. They made the rings and everything. And you know what? FSU has even more of a case
because they will get
doing that.
If they get, and UCF, I'd have to go back and look, but I don't think they were number 1 in the AP poll at the end of the year or number 1 in the coaches poll, but FSU can be and should be. If they beat Georgia, they're number 3 in the coaches poll right now, number 4 in the AP. And let's just say Alabama runs the table in this playoff. And it's Alabama against FSU's resume. Okay, let's look at that.
That's right.
One has a -1, one has a -0.
That's right.
Alabama beat Georgia. Well, so did FSU.
Yeah.
It's on a neutral field.
That's right.
As did Alabama. But if FSU was more impressive in beating them. So, but they have a chance. So if they get number 1 in the AP or the coaches poll, damn right. There's been split national championships going back just to 1991 with Colorado
and Georgia Tech.
And Georgia Tech. So that's so much more legitimate. I don't want to bag on UCF, but it's so much more legitimate than that.
It is. You're right. Yeah. You're exactly right. And I'm just saying the precedent's there, and FSU would have way more of a case than UCF did, right? And so I'm just saying, hey, we don't recognize your championship. Sorry.
Exactly. Right? And as I laid out my monologue, basically ESPN through Heather Dinich's column, if you read that, and she said on Get Up this morning, the committee basically said it's because FSU's offense was so ugly in the championship game.
Right.
Okay, so you're admitting it's a beauty contest.
That's right.
You're admitting it.
Yeah.
So you're telling the world that, okay, this is not a real championship. This is a beauty contest, and we're admitting that. So our little playoff here, is a beauty contest. It's for ratings only. So for God's sakes, of course it would be more legitimate as an AP or a coaches poll. And if you won both of those compared to the self-admitted beauty contest of ESPN's, well, then of course I think the entire nation would say, oh, no, that's way more legitimate than your beauty contest, right?
Sure, of course. And I think the other thing too is like the college football committee, and there was a lot of angst when TCU got in, Kansas State, they beat TCU in the Big 12 championship game, but TCU got in. Okay, that's fine. And it looked great when they beat Michigan, right?
Yes.
When TCU beat Michigan, they're like, oh, wow, we made the right call. And then when they got absolutely throttled and destroyed by Georgia, then everyone was like, well, see, TCU couldn't have been in. They shouldn't have been in. Well, it's like, well, wait a minute.
Michigan?
Yeah, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
You can't sit there and say, ooh, wow, look at this high-scoring, Arena Football League type game we had with Michigan and TCU. That was awesome. But then, when they couldn't replicate that points-wise against Georgia, I'm sorry. It just, I don't know, man. Let them play. Put the best teams in. Last time I checked, defense was just as important as offense was, right?
No.
I mean, if you don't believe me, yeah, I mean, it's like I know John Gruden's offense scored 28 points in the Super Bowl back in 2002, but the defense scored 21, right?
Right.
It's like the defense stole the show for the Buccaneers in both of the Super Bowls. I know Tom Brady was the MVP, 3 touchdowns in the first half, but it's like all you really remember and talk about is they held Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes out of the end zone, right?
That's right.
So.
Do we really expect consistency though from the committee? I mean, we don't, right? Or fairness or anything.
Yeah, it's a joke, and it's going to get better when they let 12 in. And like, I'm sure there's going to be an argument. Well, what about the 13th team? Okay, the 13th team doesn't matter as much as the 5th team, right? The one that's left out of the top 4. Yep. So you're always going to have an argument. But at that time, then it's going to be like, well, Oklahoma State deserved to be in. All right, well, you're 13th in the country. Nobody cares, right? But when you only have
at that point, you had plenty of opportunity to get in, and you lost 3 games.
Exactly. And here's the thing, because this committee seems to just make up stuff as it goes along, right? Why couldn't they have done the nation a solid and say, you know what? This is an emergency situation. We can't figure this out. Yeah. We're going to give the top 2 undefeated teams. And in this case, it's Michigan and who's the other one? Washington, right?
Yeah.
Michigan and Washington. We're going to give them a first round bye.
Right.
And
Which
we're going to have
doesn't deserve, by the way, but go ahead.
Right. I'm just saying, but we're going to give them a bye, and then we're going to actually add 2 more teams, Georgia and Florida State. Yeah. And we're going to have the 4 games, a play-in, right? Yeah. The 4 games there.
Make more money.
Right, make more. Exactly. Why couldn't they figure this out? Yeah. All it would have done is just more TV ratings, more revenue, more commercials sold.
And a complete show of fairness. For the first time ever, we're going to give a direct cut of the revenue to the players.
How about that, right?
Wow.
Yeah. But they don't have the forethought to do something like that. And by the way, you have time. Time's on your side. You're not playing any of these games for a month. Right. You can figure it out. Yeah. Just go to 2 other bowls and say, hey, this is going to be these 2 bowls are going to be the play-in. And we're going to
ESPN owns it, so they can do anything the hell they want.
Exactly.
But there's rules.
Yeah.
Well, clearly you didn't follow your rules.
Make them up as you go along, as far as I'm concerned. So,
all right, let's jump into the Bucks now. Yep. We thank God you and I both got paid to watch that game the other day, especially the third quarter with 10 possessions. I think there were. TJ told me.
Yeah.
It was brutal at times. I mean, and just throwing and catching. You guys, you can't complete a 5-yard out. Like, Jesus. And I know it's raining a little bit, but come on. But in the end, I liked it that the Bucks did some things to close games that they haven't been able to do before. I like the fact
that the quarterback.
Todd Bowles stayed aggressive defensively, even though it may have cost them a little bit. But in the end, they got a pick that won, essentially won the game.
Right.
So I like, there were some good things. Cansey continues to just show us he's going to be a star.
Yeah.
I like what the backup linebackers did. JJ Russell,
Yeah,
If that was so, there were a lot of positives.
Played
in this
better
game.
than Devin White.
Good God, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping
He
Devin
really did. Yeah.
And Mike Evans, my God, and Antoine Winfield. What can you say about
Yep.
those two guys? So we're starting with the positives,
Yep.
and they, I gotta love just watching those guys play.
Yeah, they're clearly the co-MVPs of this team, one on offense, one on defense. The problem is going forward, and you're going to have some more challenging games here. This Falcons game is going to be harder than the Panthers game, harder than the Titans game, which are the last 2 wins for Tampa Bay. And then you've got a game that looks very formidable on the schedule up next in Green Bay. Who knows what the weather's going to be like? But I do know that Matt LaFleur is undefeated at home in December. That's quite the record. And all of a sudden, up there in the frozen tundra, Jordan Love is hot. And so for the Buccaneers to have a chance of beating the Falcons, they had to get some momentum from beating the Panthers. And then in order to beat the Packers or have a chance, they have to get some momentum by beating the Falcons. And for all intents and purposes, this is the play-in game. If they beat the Falcons, they're going to be number 1 in the division due to the tiebreakers. And they'll have a chance with a 2-game winning streak, which they haven't had since the first 2 weeks of the season, of going up to Green Bay and doing something. However, if they lose this game, it's over. I mean, their season's over. It's going to be Kyle Trask time. And they're going to be looking ahead to next year. So that being said, from what I'm hearing, Levante David, Servassier Dennis will probably start this week. If Devin White were to play in this game, I'm telling you right now, the Buccaneers would lose. They just would, because the Falcons are going to run the ball. Devin just does not have any interest in shedding blocks and trying to make tackles. He's got an injured foot. I'd honestly just bench him the rest of the season. He's not going to be back anyways. He's not helping the Buccaneers going forward. Yeah. So just shut him down and roll with Voss and David. If something happens, put JJ Russell in. He looked like a credible football player.
Yeah, he shed a block or two, and I was like, "Oh,
he did.
You can do that.
It's possible. Yes,
it's possible. Look at that. That's crazy. Got a nice sack too.
What's that?
Go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say the Jaguars and Saints games may look a little more doable for you guys, depending on how these injury situations go.
Trevor Lawrence with that ankle injury, he might be out for several weeks. So
I mean, Derek Carr, of course, has the concussion thing, and for the second time this season, so they're going to be a little more careful with that, and a possible rib injury. So he may be done for the year too. Yeah,
and I'll say this: for the Buccaneers to have a chance of winning these next 2 games, though, it can't be the Mike and Antoine show. Right. They need some sidekicks. They need some fellow superheroes to come alongside him. This is like Avengers Assemble time, because they're going to those two need to play like they did against the Panthers, but they're going to need a counterpart. They're going to need another superhero on defense and on offense to emerge, because they're going to have to score more points, and they're going to have to keep opponents scoring down in these games going forward. And when I say score more points, I mean maybe like 24, right? Rather than 20 or 21, which seems like they're kind of capped at lately.
Well, that's because they don't try to score more than that, in case you haven't noticed, Todd Bowles. Yeah.
Well,
he's up 7-3, coaching like he's up 24-3. It's like, dude.
He did use a timeout before halftime.
He did.
So
it was a
holiday miracle.
Clapped in the press box. That would be me. I violated the agreement. I'm not supposed to. You're not supposed to cheer, but he did call a timeout, so I clapped.
He did.
And it actually didn't work out. But you know what? You tried.
Exactly.
Didn't hurt you either, but you tried. And by the way, didn't call the timeout quick enough. Wasn't as aggressive in it. And I know it's 10 seconds, but
he had to be talked into it. I'm sure.
Exactly. There was they weren't thinking about it. Certainly,
someone in the headset's like, Todd, call the timeout. And he's like, it's the first half. You can't call timeouts in the first half.
I was like, where's his voice coming from? Who's talking to me right now?
I've been coaching in the NFL a long time. I'm pretty sure you can't use timeouts in the first half. We just checked the rule book, Todd. You can call the timeout. Oh, okay. All right.
But we're on defense. We're on defense. Why would you call timeout on defense?
Right, exactly.
Hey, is that what that means? I wonder why people did that on the field.
Well, the funny part was the show on the screen. He's talking to the official, and they're both laughing. They're laughing, and I'm like, yeah, the official just told him he's allowed to call timeout on defense, and he didn't know that. He's like, oh shit, oh damn, thanks, man, appreciate that.
Exactly.
The official said, hey, do you want to call timeout here? Don't you?
Oh, wait a minute, I can call timeouts, right?
And
thanks
they're
for
laughing about it. Yeah, thanks, man, I appreciate that. Thanks, buddy.
My gosh,
appreciate that. Yeah, so But that was so. There were some positives in this game,
Yeah.
but the negatives were the run defense was still, God bless Ryan Neal. He tried hard, but the great Chuba Hubbard and that great offensive line of the Panthers were still getting. Thank God they get drive it all the way down to the 1 yard line on 2nd and 1. They throw the football.
Right.
I mean, just unbelievable. So the run defense is still a sieve.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I know that Todd Bowles wasn't trying to poke the bear, I guess, or poke the teddy bear in this case. But, after the game, he was saying, Bryce Young, he's going to be a great one. I don't see it, man. I don't. And maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe he needs a better offensive line and better weapons. I was surprised that Tua came around to being what he is now. Like, I will admit, I was wrong about Tua. And I know they come from the same school and they're both a little vertically challenged. But Tua is a thicker dude than Bryce Young is, right? Bryce Young is tiny. Yeah. And I don't know that this guy is going to be a great quarterback. Can he be a good quarterback with better weapons and a better line? Maybe, and better coaching. But I don't know.
And the success of the Texans right now just make that pick look that much worse. And you know what? So it really shouldn't, because they're entirely different situations, entirely different teams. It's so much money, almost $200 million the Texans put into the offensive line in front of C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't have near that.
Exactly.
All right. But it just, on the outside looking at, man, it just looks like a bad pick now.
Yeah, it really does.
And it was a bad pick. I don't know about you, Scott, but I was like the whole time saying that I love the kid. And he did, but you go look at the pockets that he played out of at Alabama, and they're just, so much room to play.
Oh, yeah.
And then they had him on the move and everything. And you look at the pockets that he's playing
throwing to
in now.
NFL receivers, Jamison Williams and all these guys. I mean, trust me, he destroyed my Kansas State Wildcats in the Sugar Bowl last year. Like I saw Bryce Young, but at the same time, though, how many times have we seen great college quarterback and it just doesn't transcend to the NFL?
He's great in a flag football setting, but open field, passing and running, it's tremendous, but that's not the way the NFL is played.
Correct.
And great kid, but he does. I think he could be competent with an competent offensive line, because the pressure numbers on that kid are just
I think he can be good, right? I think you can win with him, but he's not an upper echelon. Right. He's not a Joe Burrow type. He's not a Patrick Mahomes type. He's not the kind of guy that you look at and say, there might be Super Bowls in the future for him. I just don't see it. Whereas you can kind of imagine that with C.J. Stroud, right? I mean, he's this good throwing to Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Noah Brown. Get him a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson, and what can this guy be? That's what I'm thinking.
Thank God he's.
Yeah, I wonder what he could have done with Brandon Cooks still in the fold down there. I bet they didn't see that coming, or they would have got rid of Brandon Cooks. I mean, I'm glad he's in Dallas, but
that's fair point.
Great point. And that brings us to another short quarterback, Baker Mayfield. I in the last few games, I don't like what I'm seeing. I think he's very limited in his mobility right now, and that was a huge part of his success early on this season. His escapability led to some huge plays that won games, kept them in games. Doesn't have it right now. That ankle looks like it's severely limited. When he tries to escape, he can't. And I think it's affecting his throwing as well.
Well, they've also pretty much cut out the waggles and bootlegs. Not that they were using them nearly as much as they should have been or did in training camp, but that was supposed to be a big part of this offense. And now it's just he's a pocket passer. And at a little over 6 foot with cleats on, you're seeing batted balls. If the throwing lane, which
he's not seeing the field,
he's not seeing the field, right? If there's a throwing lane, right, that every play has a constructed throwing lane to your primary, right? And if that primary is gone, if that receiver's covered, that's the throwing lane. Then he has to look amongst the trees and try to throw between some branches because he just can't see it. And I honestly think that's a big reason why we're seeing the double number of targets to Mike Evans, not just the fact that Mike's a great receiver. He's 6'5". He's easier to see than 6'1" Chris Godwin or 6'1" Trey Palmer, and certainly Devin Tompkins at 5'7". He's lucky to have caught a ball all this year. But there's something to it, right? And I think that there's just some limitations there. Like I've said it before, going way back to the Lions game. He's not a difference maker at quarterback. If you like, the reason why Brock Purdy is really good is he's got 4 guys to throw the ball to that are like close to or elite. Kittle, McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Samuel, right? He's got 4 guys. And we've seen what happens when you have 4 guys. Saw it in Tampa Bay, AB, Gronk, Mike, and Chris.
Yep.
And you've got the best quarterback of all time at making pre-snap reads and knowing where the ball's going before the ball's even snapped because of the mismatch, right?
And is 6'5" with a cannon.
Bingo, right? So when you have 4 weapons, it works. Right now, this team has 1, Mike, and I don't know what's happening to Chris Godwin. They've got to do something. He's not worth $20 million. I love Chris the player. I love Chris the person.
At this level, yeah.
But I don't like Chris the receiver right now. You know?
Well, we're dealing with, a guy that, let's not forget, came off a horrific injury.
Yeah.
It's now, year plus after that injury.
He's just not the same guy.
But he doesn't have that jump that he wants. And that was everything for him. He had a burst, and he could run through every arm tackle. He was the best yak guy I've seen in a long, long time. He's just not that guy anymore.
He's not.
And will he be again?
He's 29 next year too, right?
Yeah,
so,
will the knee get stronger? Look, we've seen, Mike Evans, which brings us to Mike Evans, get better as he's gotten older. I asked him after the game, as you saw, are you playing your best football ever? And he said, yeah. And he's faster than he's ever been. Yeah. And we noticed that a couple of years ago when Brady got here. He got noticeably faster.
Yes.
He's taking care of his body. He's not getting the hammies anymore. Who wasn't on that 75-yarder when he was stretching? I'm like, oh God, no. Don't pull up. Don't pull up. Whatever you do, don't pull up.
Because what happens is if he pulls up at the 5, then it's a field goal. Or a touchdown.
Exactly. He's like, I'm flying at the 5 and I'm going to get in. And that, and by the way, Todd Bowles did challenge that, right? Because they don't necessarily, if they don't call it a touchdown, it's not an automatic review.
Correct. They only review scoring plays, and it was not ruled a scoring play.
Todd had to. I saw him throw the red challenge flag, so he had to challenge that.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did finally. Right. And that was the reason he did is because they showed it on the big board about 50 times.
That's the play, Todd. You can't challenge plays in the NFL. Challenge it, Todd. Use the red hanky, Todd. The red one that's in your sock. Use that one.
Oh, that's what that's for.
You think he knows there's a 2-point conversion?
Oh, Jesus. Stop, Tim. We're getting going way down into
because he had to defend it against the Panthers.
And not very well.
Not very well, yeah.
Ryan Neal, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm watching this play, and I'm like, Ryan Neal's
How about Joe Tryon-Schwinka? I'm going to grab the toddler by the face mask and throw him down, right? I mean, it was an easy sack, right? That would have ended the 2-point, but then you give him a
and then Ryan Neal, the guy there's somebody behind him covering people. There's nobody in your zone to cover.
Right. I know.
And the quarterback is rolling out, and you're running away from him.
Right.
Like you're running away from him.
It's like if Ryan Neal, if he thought he was in no man's land, which I guess he did, right? You always defend the pylon. You always rush the quarterback and make him make the throw over your head.
Yes. Right.
Okay. But you can't just say, you're not going to get the pass on me, right? Because he's like, fine, I'm going to run it in.
Like if you're going to try to attack, you're going to meet him at the goal line and somehow keep him out.
Right.
Like,
no.
Does he hold? Even
you
Bryce
always
Young,
have to. You always have to charge the guy.
Right.
Because I mean, how many times have you seen like the guy drop it, or he throws a little too high and it goes over his head? I mean, you got to force the throw in that situation.
Bananas, but it is what it is. So now we turn our attention to the Falcons, and as you mentioned. I don't see how they win this game. They rushed without Bijan Robinson. Remember that.
Oh yeah.
He's going to play in this game, and I don't see how the Bucs, with their depletions at linebacker, but if Levante comes back, they got a shot. But I don't think he's going to play. Right? Do you?
I think he's going to play. Yeah, I do. But the problem is you're not getting the Levante that we saw against the Lions, for example, where he's breaking up passes downfield on Sam Laporta. You're probably going to be getting a 65 to 70% Levante, which is better than any Bucs linebacker healthy. But he's got that groin injury, and with the groin, there's a couple injuries that you just do not want to get during football season. Number one is a high ankle sprain because it will never fully heal, and you are always at the risk of tweaking it. Number two is a groin because once it's healthy, that one wrong plant or cut. And you tweak it again. Number three, of course, is the hamstring for the same reason. It's just so hard to come back in season from those injuries because when you want to open it up and go full throttle. In the back of your mind thinking, I don't want to pull this hammy. So you end up going 80% speed rather than 100. It hurts your play, hurts the team, all that stuff.
Yep.
So that's one of those 3 injuries. The groin injury is tough to overcome in the season because of so much change of direction, planting, stopping, starting, accelerating, and it can just fire that groin right back up.
Yeah. All right, Scotty, great stuff as always, my friend. Tell us how they can get the great Pewter Report content.
We're going to be having our Pewter Report podcast tomorrow, previewing Bucks Falcons, and that's at 4:00 live on our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out and subscribe. We're on our way to 13,000 subscribers. We want you Pewter people to be a part of that, and also make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Pewter Report, as well as the mothership, pewterreport.com, for a lot of Bucks content leading up to this big important game. And we have a story out today that says the mega 2024 quarterback draft class is not so mega after all.
Ooh.
It's not going to be as robust as we all thought it might be, with a couple of key players staying in college and hitting the transfer portal or staying. So check that out on pewterreport.com, because the Buccaneers will be drafting a quarterback next year. But for who? What head coach and what rounds? So stay tuned.
Yeah. Well, and this might be a good week to have me on the podcast, by the way. Just saying.
How about Thursday? You want to come on?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's go.
All right. Let's do it. We'll book you for Thursday.
All right, cool. Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate it.
JP. Thank you.
We will take a break here. When we come back, we're going to get into some Bolts talk. Big win last night for Tampa Bay, and it was a great night for Victor Hedman. And there's a connection between, at least in my mind, between what happened to FSU and why we appreciate Victor Hedman so much. And we'll talk about that when we come back. We're brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source. It is the season of giving, right? Why wouldn't you go get something pretty and shiny from the Gold and Diamond Source? I was in there the other day visiting with Steve, and man, that place looks great. And I'm talking about bling, bling, bling. So much cool stuff in there. Get your girl something nice and shiny at the Gold and Diamond Source, or get your man one of those great Rolex watches. They got the gently used ones there at great prices. Or if you want something new, they got such a great selection. I was salivating looking at some of those watches. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, the best prices, and they are local, and they're great philanthropic folks here in our area. Keep it local during the Christmas season. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, and right there in Clearwater. Back in 3. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly.
That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Let them shop your insurance around and save you tons of money. They did that with my auto insurance, $1,000. They saved me for the annual year. Just did it for our good friend Leo, $6,000. They saved him on his auto policy, $6,000. So you never know what you can save, folks. Let them do all the work. Call charity over at Italiano, 813-877-7799. And say, hey, you shop my auto insurance, shop my home insurance. Chances are they're going to come back with a lower rate for you, folks. So why not save the money? It's not what you make. It's what you keep. 813-877-7799 is the number. Well, here's an interesting development, Tim, from our good friend RJ Martin. I just tagged you guys in a video on X by Feinbaum, basically admitting they used FSU wanting to leave the ACC as a factor when determining leaving them out of the college football playoffs. See, I told you guys this yesterday, and I've been telling everybody, and I don't think anybody's talking about this. And you got, when you follow the money, folks, see, the ACC, the grant and rights is $40 million below what the SEC and the Big Ten make through ESPN. Okay. So the ACC number is so low that ESPN makes all their money on this, hundreds of millions of dollars in profit. And the FSU wanted to get out of that. And the only way they could do that is to dissolve the conference without paying a $160 million penalty. So the Knowles embarked on this plan to dissolve the ACC. FSU, 4 teams would go to the SEC, 4 teams would go to the Big Ten. That would dissolve the conference. You wouldn't have to pay a penalty. And that would have cost ESPN hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. So ESPN went to work to make sure that didn't happen. Now, how much they paid Duke or whatever institution not to go with FSU, I don't know. But I'm sure it was corrupt in some way. This is how big money works. And when you try to, have you ever watched Game of Thrones, folks? If the coup don't work, you know what happens? Your head comes off. And they put it on a spike at the gates of the city. That's how it works. And now FSU's helmet and head is going to be on a spike. To all you other people, you want to F with us? You want to F with us? We run this show, ESPN says. And this is why Rick Scott, by the way, wants to get all the communication because he knows what happened. Feinbaum admitted it. He knows what happened. He knows why ESPN did it. I know why they did it. It's never been done before. Why did they do it to FSU? If you missed the monologue, Boss Hogg was on, chairman of ESPN, smoking a cigar.
I got to turn that into a short.
You got to, man. That was some of my best work, Timmy. Right off the
cuff. It was great. It wasn't very short, but I should turn it into a short.
We could do a little link to it, right? But I'm telling you, this is the smoking gun. And if there's, can you imagine if for some reason and I don't think this is going to happen, but if Rick Scott could actually get some of those emails and texts, and there is a smoking gun, because I think they're smoking guns on all.
Sure.
How can you communicate to Fowler and Herbie and all your talent to Tessitore? By the way, Joe Tessitore
Oh my God.
he's scheduled to speak tonight at the Tallahassee Touchdown Club. I've got some friends that are going to that tonight, and they do a Q&A. I said, no way that dude shows up. No way he shows up. Because if you watch the ACC championship game, he and Jesse Palmer were on a crusade from the very beginning of this game. That's all they talked about, Tim.
It was bad.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, like, call the game. I understand you got to bring in the bigger conversation. I'm not saying you don't mention it, but my God, it's like there's a game going on over here, guys. This is not the selection show.
They were doing a talk show during the game. They weren't calling the game.
And that doesn't, these guys are professional broadcasters, especially Tessitore. They know the game's the thing. That's not your job. That's not what he would normally do.
Nope.
Now, Jesse, of course, being, the Gator that he is, it is what it is. But those guys, they're better than that. I know they are. So that came from above. That came from above. Like, hey, this is your 3 hours, 4 hours to hammer FSU and let everybody know how bad they're. What was weird was when the game was over, then Jesse in the post was like, oh, well, they're the ACC is 6-4 against the SEC. FSU given all these metrics, even their defensive metrics, talking about in glowing terms about how great their defense is, what they just saw tonight and what they did against Florida. And it was like, I'm like, wait, everybody just turned off the TV. Now you're saying all this? Where was this during the game?
Wasn't part of the script.
Wasn't part of like, it was like, they were like, so they got the text, but okay, now, everybody, the game's over. Now you can talk about the other stuff just so we can have credibility later on. Oh, we mentioned that after the game.
Yeah, it's deplorable.
Yeah, it's interesting where that's going.
I hate Jesse Palmer.
Yeah, go back to The Bachelor, will you?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so if we can get that sound, we'll try to get it. He said he tagged this, Tim. I don't know where it is. You can, if you want to try to look for this, while I go on this little diatribe on Victor Hedman. So last night, Victor Hedman, Bolts defenseman, if you don't know, played in his 1,000th game for the Lightning. Just the third player in franchise history to do it. There's over 500 assists. I think only 3 NHL defensemen have done that in the time frame. Just unbelievable numbers. Obviously, two Stanley Cups. Conn Smythe winner as the MVP. Literally, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. And as I said last night on in one of my intermission reports, to Lightning fans, do not miss this moment. Do not miss this moment. This is a moment in time in hockey history that has rarely been seen, except with maybe the great Islanders teams or the Oilers teams. You've got 4 what I believe are bona fide hockey Hall of Famers in their primes over the last few years, and even stretching in. I think this, they've still got some legs with them. I mean, look at Hedman's third in NHL defenseman scoring right now. These guys aren't going anywhere. But I think Hedman, as a Norris Trophy winner, 2-time Stanley Cup winner, Norris Trophy finalist, I think 6 times now, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Vasilevsky, no doubt. He's the best. He is the best goalie in the game and has been for probably the last 6 years, will be for the next 6 at least. 2-time Stanley Cup champion. He's in. Kucherov, come on. He's going to win a Hart Trophy this year, probably. The leading scorer, best playmaker in the game. And Stamkos just flats out is going to have the numbers to get in. So you're talking about 4 bona fide hockey Hall of Famers playing on the same team, winning 2 cups and maybe more. And Victor Hedman is the embodiment of this. And we talk so much about, the virtues of sport that just make it so fun to watch and be so emotionally involved and so part of it, the hard work, the discipline that takes, the effort that it takes, the skill that it takes. I mean, these guys hit the ice. This is a microcosm of the work that they put in their lives. Mm-hmm. I mean, you want to talk about the 10,000 hours that it takes to be great and elite at something. These guys have put in 100,000 hours in their lives, and they're reaping the fruits of that labor. I think we all endeavor in whatever we do to have that type of commitment on a daily basis, to be great at what you do. And in Victor Hedman's case, to be so humble in victory and so gracious in defeat, as Stamkos said last night. And all the teammates that they did video tributes from, Vinny LeCavalier early in his career, to Ryan McDonough, who played with him on 2 cups, to Andre Palat they brought back, and Pat Maroon, and the fans are cheering, and these great video tributes, and Hedman's, got the tears in his eyes. It's to celebrate guys like this that are so, and the most likable dude you'll ever meet in your life. If you ever thought you could meet a 6'6", 240-pound Swedish man that just makes you feel like he's the most approachable, nicest guy, superstar in the world, that's him. That's Victor Hedman. And then when he gets out on the ice, he's just a ferocious Viking. He's so good at what he does. And it's, 2 strides, he's in position, and just, and Engblom, my partner Brian Engblom on the postgame show was talking about this last night, because he sees it at ice level. Guys that think they have an opening coming down the wing, and they've got, and they're in the middle of a great play and a 2-on-1, and within 2 strides, Hedman's just all over them, and there's just nowhere to go. And his reach and his size and his skating ability just make him unique in every aspect. And he's such a reason why the Lightning have been elite for so long. You got to have that defenseman. In every level, the Lightning have those players, that sharpshooter in Stamkos, the playmaker in Kucherov, the dominant defenseman in Victor Hedman, and the greatest goalie in the game right now. And that's why the Lightning, they're sitting there at 28 points in the middle of the pack, and people are like, oh my God, they lost 8-1. Yeah, calm down. We'll be fine. These guys are elite in what they do. They're committed, and they were defensively committed last night, appropriately enough, on a night where we celebrate the greatest defenseman in the history of the Lightning franchise. The commitment to defense returned, and these guys were puck hounds last night, so different than they were Saturday. The intensity was there. They fought for every puck. They fought for every possession, and they stopped at the stupid-ass passes and being careless with the puck. They played last night like a playoff game. And they took a team that dismantled them in the Dallas Stars on Saturday night, 8-1, and dismantled them right back in 4-0 and winning. That was a great response. It's what we've seen from this Lightning team over this run. And if they can keep this blueprint, and I know they can, it's a matter of effort and want to. They have the abilities we saw last night. They have the talent to do it. They got some balanced scoring last night, 2 from Cirelli, 1 from Glendening. So there's some secondary scoring that's coming in. This is the recipe for being able to compete for a cup. So, that was
Vazzy's first shutout this season, right?
Yep. First shutout of the season. Yeah. And, Vazzy, of course, 8-1, you want him to come out of the game. And he's like, yeah, I'm not effing leaving. I'm not effing leaving. I'm not effing leaving. Don't even try, Coop.
And that's why the Lightning are a model franchise in the league. I mean, at 100%.
Yeah, so a very, very enjoyable evening last night too. And of course, shout out to my Lightning Vision production team. Just, the best of the best. We do this better than anybody. The great videos, of all. Last night I did the top 10 Victor Hedman moments on video in my intermission report, and we got it going. Great highlights. That was really, really fun to do. In fact, I need to get that clip and circulate it. Just so many great moments that he's been involved in. For the Lightning. So it's a hell of a night.
Didn't the team wear in the practice, in the warm-ups, the 1,000 jerseys had the number 1,000 on it?
Yeah, and they auctioned those off for the Humane Society, which is his favorite charity. Big dog guy.
That's awesome.
And it was a great night. And it all, Victor didn't score, unfortunately. He wasn't on the score sheet, but of course his impact is always felt. So the Bolts will be there. They'll be there. I have no worries about them whatsoever. I see you found the Feinbaum piece here.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Look how good you are. That's fantastic. Well, without further ado, let's see what old Big Ears has to say here.
That people in college athletics don't like Florida State. Because people in college athletics, Matt, are collegial people. They try to coalesce. You've heard them say this. We may be enemies on the field. And let me tell you why they don't like Florida State. Because Florida State did something a couple of months ago that ticked off any conscience-minded person in the sport. They stood up and said, we're too good to be in the ACC. They did it not in private at a booster club meeting. They did it at a board of trustees meeting. And my theory is that may have kept them out, as crazy as that sounds. You don't do that. You don't go outside and take a leak inside, as you know. And I think there's some very like-minded people on that committee that go, why are we going to do them a favor? Now, by the way, I realize that sounds absurd in terms of picking the 4 best teams, but I'm also trying to give you the mindset here of administrators and how they think, and athletic directors. And they go, we're not selling out the biggest program in college football and the biggest name and arguably the biggest brand for a bunch of renegades.
Wow. Matt Barry doesn't know what to do.
Look at that. He's like, did he really just say that? Did he just really uncover our corporate secrets like that? Paul, do you know what you just said? You let the cat out of the bag. That old JP Peterson's down there in Tampa talking about it, but nobody else is talking about it.
Oh,
how about that?
He doesn't know what to say.
How about that? And the funny part about that is, here's Paul seeming like he's in the right here. So there's this Paul Feinbaum saying, hey, it's a good old boys network, man. And you tried to upset the apple cart of the good old boys network. How dare you? Yeah. How dare you, renegades on your Osceola horse with your flaming spear, come into our house and try to set it afire?
Boss Hogg is back.
How dare you, Indians, and your firewater come in here and try to take back your land? How dare you? We know who owns this stuff. It's us, the good old boy network. God damn it. You don't come in. You think you're going to walk into that boardroom and say, dadgummit, this is our land. We drive all the revenue in this conference. Why should we sit here and take $40 million less than we deserve? We actually deserve hell more. Why does Wake Forest get the same amount of money as us? How dare you come up and upset our big boss hog apple cart here? What are you talking about, boy? We own this thing. How dare you come in here in your self-interest, looking out for your athletes and your fan base, and you're trying to do what's best for you and your school. How dare you? Now, of course, we take care of our own here in Southeastern Conference. We're gonna take care of our own. How dare you try to take care of your own? We own this thing. Don't you come in here, you renegades, you Indians, try to take up our good old boy network. That's what he just said. That's
Pretty
what
much.
He just said.
Yeah.
And it, like, with a straight face. Like, I'm sorry, Paul Feinbaum, but we got roped into some horrible deal by the ACC, probably in collusion with your network, ESPN, and it sucks. And there are ways to get out of it. And we are doing a disservice to our athletes and our fan base by not looking for every remedy to improve our position and be able to compete with you in the SEC and the Big Ten. Why are we not deserving of that? Oh, but you better stay in your place. And if we in the SEC want to come get you, we'll do that. But until that time, you stay in your place, you little renegade Indians, you. Are you serious, Paul Feinbaum? But you know what? In your arrogance, in your SEC arrogance, you just admitted what everybody knows, that this had nothing to do about Jordan Travis's injury, had nothing to do with FSU offense. It was a political vendetta. And I told you folks that yesterday, and now they're admitting it today. And you're okay with that? Thank you, Paul Feinbaum. Thank you. And this is how deep this corruption runs. That these son of a bitches can sit up here on a national platform and just admit it. You know why? Because there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. And that's where we are in this country. Yeah, we're going to we're going to have two systems of justice. You know what? Ain't a damn thing you're going to do about it. We can cheat. We're Michigan. We're freaking Michigan. We can cheat, do whatever the hell that we want to do. You know what? We got all the power. Ain't nothing you can do about it. In fact, we'll do it right in front of your face. And you will laugh about it. There's nothing you can do about it because we hold all the cards. That's why people are pissed off. Not because of FSU, not because of Jordan Travis. We're sick of you the good old boys network doing whatever the F they want to do because they have all the money and they have all the power. It sucks. But thank you, Paul Feinbaum, in your stupid ass arrogance for thinking that you could just admit it to everybody and think it's okay. Look what you just said. Oh, now you stay in your place there, little renegades, and you'll be fine. But if you try to stand up for yourself and get some justice for your fans and your fan base and be able to compete with us, no. We'll show you who's boss. Thank you, Paul Feinbaum.
It's what he does.
Tim, I got to listen to this again. Can I? I want to hear it again, just so I want everybody to understand how that he's admitting this in front of the world. Go ahead.
That people in college athletics don't like Florida State, because people in college athletics, Matt, are collegial people. They try to coalesce. You've heard them say this. We may be enemies on the field, and let me tell you why they don't like Florida State. Because Florida State did something a couple of months ago that ticked off any conscience-minded person in the sport. Because they stood up and said, "We're too good to be in the ACC." They did it not in private at a booster club meeting. They did it at a board of trustees meeting. And my theory is that may have kept them out, as crazy as that sounds. You don't do that. You don't go outside and take a leak inside, as you know. And I think there's some very like-minded people on that committee that go, why are we going to do them a favor? Now, by the way, I realize that sounds absurd in terms of picking the 4 best teams, but I'm also trying to give you the mindset here of administrators and how they think, and athletic directors. And they go, we're not selling out the biggest program in college football and the biggest name and arguably the biggest brand for a bunch of renegades.
Poor Matt doesn't know what to do. Matt's like, did he just wait? What just happened here?
Oh my God! Hey, Rick Scott, we don't need the text messages. We don't need the emails, bro.
We got it.
Just
right
said
there.
it. The guy that's on the email chain just admitted it.
Man.
Wow. Thank you, Paul Feinbaum. Thank you, Paul Feinbaum. And thank you, RJ Martin, for sending that over.
Yeah.
Just validates everything I said yesterday. People are like, oh, JP, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, am I? Once again, I'm right again.
It's not a conspiracy if it's true.
What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? It used to be a couple of months. Now it's 30 seconds.
Yep.
Now it's 30 seconds. Unbelievable. But I told you, follow the money, man. Follow the money. Never been done before. They put Cincinnati in as an undefeated. Not even a Power 5. They got 1 win over Notre Dame. TCU, go back to the history, the teams that they put in. Yeah. This team wasn't deserving. I told you. And this is why I told you everybody was going to happen. The All-State playoff predictor said it was 97%. Yeah, well, the All-State playoff predictor doesn't factor in corruption and the good old boy network, I guess.
And it doesn't
get your algorithm's off. Your algorithm's off, bro.
The computer doesn't get paid, so all it does is speak the truth.
Man,
pay off the computer.
I just love it. I just freaking love it. By the way, that video courtesy of ESPN, so I'm sure they're going to come sue us. But you put it out in the public domain, we're allowed to use it.
Yeah, it's on Twitter.
Yeah, it's on Twitter. I mean, I what's left to say, Tim? What's left to say, man?
To perpetuate all of this and just take it a step further, who owns the SEC network and the ACC network that runs all of this, that steers the narrative for all of these schools on those they're not even local networks, on those subscription networks? It's ESPN.
It's ESPN.
They own all of it.
Yep. And they can create any narrative they want.
Mm-hmm.
Any narrative they want, especially in college football. And you know what else? They own these. I don't know who's going to officiate the Orange Bowl.
Oh, God.
But I can tell you what's going to happen.
There's going to be controversy either way.
But it'd be interesting because most of these players are going to want to opt out, especially the Georgia players, right? The most that have rings that are going to the NFL. I mean, for who, for what? What are they playing for? But now the SEC may come in and go, hey, guys, we don't need Florida State beating Georgia. We got to, maybe what are they going to pay the players now? Now they'll find a way to pay the players. You guys want to play the game? Let me get a little more NIL money on top of this to go play in the Orange Bowl there.
God almighty.
Let me give you how much do you need?
What a tangled web we weave.
I know. It's so bad, man. It's so bad. Brock Bowers, what do you need? You need an extra $1 million to play in that Orange Bowl. Do not lose to Florida State. Don't worry. We got the refs in the bag, but don't worry about that.
God.
Nothing's real, man. Nothing's real, Timmy.
No.
Nothing's
we
real
live in a
anymore.
simulation run by ESPN.
Run by
It's not Skynet. It's ESPN.
It's ESPN, a subsidiary.
Of Skynet.
Yes. Oh, my God. All right. We got to take a break. When we come back, we were hoping to have Ryan Neeson tomorrow. He had to reschedule for tomorrow. But in his stead, we have a Hall of Famer coming up next and he has a product for you, especially you FSU fans that you might want. How's that for a tease? Stay with us. We're brought to you by the great folks at American Mortgage Services. Scott Fitzgerald, big Noel fan. Love my man, Scotty Fitz. If you need a refi, which why not, folks? Even 6-7% is better than 29% you spend it on your credit cards, right? Get that refi done. You got a lot of equity in your home. They'll keep the rates low to make it even more affordable for you. And if you do need to get that new mortgage, they have some creative ways to get around these high interest rates in the long run. But talk to Scott. They know all about it. I know the rates look bad now, but they have ways of making it work for you financially, a lot of different ways. They get very creative. So have the conversation with him, Scott@amstampa.com, Scott@amstampa.com. Just send him an email and say, hey, I want that free consultation. Tell me how I can get around these higher interest rates. What different things can you do? And they've got some great strategies for you. So just make the call, get in contact with him, Scott@amstampa.com. We'll be back in 3. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, Scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to Scott@amstampa.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30.
And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the patio.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Geddes Gordon Group for all your real estate needs. Get in touch with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group at their website, GeddesGordonGroup.com. They will do everything to help you sell your home. They will do everything to help you buy a new home. If you're looking for real estate investment strategies, you got some money maybe you want to take out of the market, put into real estate, they'll do all the work for you and make you lots and lots of money. So the Geddes Gordon Group, that's what it's all about. Give Jane a call. Just go to the website, GeddesGordonGroup.com. All right, want to bring in an old friend, a newly minted USF Hall of Famer, Jeff Attinella, join us. Great soccer player, MLS player, and works with Smack Apparel, the great folks that come up with your favorite T-shirts, and they have a new one that I really, really like. What's up, Jeff? How are you?
I'm good, boys. How we doing?
Good. I think we're going to having a little technical issue getting you into the show here. Hold on. Stand by. We can hear you, though.
Working on it.
We can hear you, though.
Well, I have a face for radio, so that's perfect.
Yeah, same here. I don't know why they put us on video. Well, listen, so with your work with Smack Apparel, you guys sent me your latest and greatest T-shirt. I think Timm also has a shot of it. If not, I can put it up on the screen here. Tell us all about your new T-shirt. Right there. So it's an FSU favorite. If you can't beat us, cheat us. And with the college football playoff insignia crossed out. I love it. Well done.
Well, we like to really pride ourselves as being kind of a voice, right? A lot of people like to wear their emotions on their sleeves, especially when it comes to being a sports fan. So we really pride ourselves on, being a company that's there to speak on behalf of fan bases that are upset or fan bases that are going through rivalries. And, especially with Florida State, this one hit a lot closer to home because, our founder of the company, Wayne, he's a Florida State grad, Florida State alum, donates, does all the things that you're supposed to do when you graduate of school and you have a lot of pride in it. My wife went to Florida State. So we have a very heavy Florida State office. I think that, we were all kind of gearing up to get ready to go to the college football playoff. I thought that logically that made a lot of sense. And then, obviously the committee ended up doing what they were doing, which if you're a fan of college football, it shouldn't really be all that surprising. But, if you're a fan of Florida State, you have every right to be upset. You have every right to be enraged. And, it's kind of a, just kind of our way of coming up with a shirt that speaks on behalf of the Florida State fan base. And, at the end of the day, I think it rings true. Undefeated team, ACC Power Conference. They checked all the boxes. They did all the things that everyone says that they're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, they end up not getting in. And, I think that there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes about things like that. But, if you're a Florida State fan, you have every right to be upset. And, I think that this shirt kind of symbolizes that. And, it's ringing true with a lot of the fan base.
Well, I think you nailed it with that one. And you being, an athlete and having been in the arena of competition at a high level, national teams, MLS, USF, obviously in the Hall of Fame there as a soccer goalie. How does this hit you as a competitor when you see something like this happen?
Well, I think that, on the outside, it's so easy to say that, one player makes all the difference. One player does this, one player does that, like they're trying to say about Jordan Travis. But at the end of the day, it's you line up with your team, right? You have your backup quarterback there for a reason. You have guys that can step in and play. I think that the defense of Florida State, once Jordan Travis got injured, the defense stepped it up a ton, and you saw just how good that defense was and what they were capable of. You saw other big playmakers step up. You saw the running game step up. So, sports is a team effort and sports is a team thing. And any time that, you've earned the right to compete, which the Florida State team did, it had nothing to do with the Jordan Travis getting hurt. Of course, it's a big part of it, but when you've earned the right and you've put in that type of work and all year long, you're saying, you know what, if we go undefeated, if we run the table, we're going to get a shot no matter what. To have that taken away from you from something that doesn't happen on the field it's just completely out of your control. And at the end of the day, it's not fair to the players of Florida State. It's not fair to the university, but that's kind of the college football world that we live in right now. And Wayne my father-in-law, the person who founded the company, he's more of an old school guy when it comes to college football. But my argument to him has been this 12-team playoff is the only way to ensure that teams 1 through 12 don't get screwed. Team 13 and 14 might.
Yeah, but at that point,
you're not as worried about them. But at the end of the day, when you take the competition away from what happens on the field, as a player, it makes you wonder kind of what's the point.
Yeah. And what's going on behind the scenes that we can't control? Because, that's always been the thing about sports, right? We just figured that's the ultimate level playing field. That's what we're supposed to do. The adults in the room, the people that control the sport, that set up the sport, that do the rules, that officiate it, right? They're supposed to make their job is to make it a level playing field so that the athletes that go out there can prove who's the best on that day, right? And if you take that away, what is sports? It's professional wrestling, with all due respect. It's
I mean, you look at like, if you've been following college football this year and last year a little bit, but more so this year, at the beginning of the year, when all these teams started jumping ship and changing conferences, the writing was kind of on the wall for what happened and what happened to Florida State. I think that the injury to Jordan Travis just gave them enough of an excuse that they needed to pull the trigger and have it make it look like it wasn't what it is, right?
A political vendetta, right?
Yeah, like it to give them something to make it look like something bigger than it was, right? It's a Jordan Travis injury. That's the only thing that's the reason that's playing into that. But at the end of the day, like, you knew the SEC was going to have a team in there. And then once Alabama beat Georgia, it kind of just threw everything off for a wrench. I also think that Washington beating Oregon had a lot to do with what happened as well, because I could have seen them keeping Oregon out of it, because there's no reason to give the Pac-12 any more money, because it's not going to be a funded conference. So yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of layers to it. I think that there's a lot of spin jobs going on in terms of, why this is the right thing for college football. But if you're a college football purist and you want the teams to have the chance to upset teams, or you want to see them compete on the field, you're not going to get that till next year, because this year was the final year of the 4, and they had total control over who was going to be in it, and they did what they did.
All right, Jeff, tell everybody how they can get the shirts. If you want one of those, if you can't beat us, cheat us.
Yeah, if you're a mad Florida State fan, check us out over at Smack Apparel. It's everything you need is over at smackapparel.com. And if you're a mad Florida State fan, or really if you're a fan of any fan base around the country, we have stuff for everybody, especially this holiday season. But if you're a mad Florida State fan, if you want to show up to the Orange Bowl repping some gear that makes sure the College Football Playoff Committee knows how you feel about them, check out smackapparel.com.
All right. Great stuff, Jeff. Great to see you, my man. Congrats on the USF Hall of Fame, buddy.
I appreciate it, JP. Thanks for having us on, man.
All right. Jeff Antonelli. He's been nice enough to gift us some T-shirts, too, so we'll be able to give some away in the coming days for Christmas. So
nice.
Be ready for that. We'll give some away on the show. All right. What size you want?
3XL.
3XL. Got it. No, sorry, should have done that in private. My bad. All right, we got to take a quick break.
Boy, I know it.
FSU sideline man Tom Block is going to join us here. He's been part of this university for 3 decades and calling games and part of the funding organization there. He knows, and I believe he was there at the reveal party as well. So we'll get his take when we come back. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Scott Jeeves is going to join us on Thursday to talk about the legalities of this situation and whether Rick Scott can get any information from these fat cat, corrupt, good old boy network. We'll see. Stay with us. 3-minute break.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Hey, the holidays are almost here, so take advantage of our layaway offer at the Gold and Diamond Source. Reserve your favorite piece now and pay in easy installments, making your holiday shopping stress-free. And engagement season is here as well, and we've got the largest selection of engagement rings, so visit us to find that perfect ring for that special moment. Looking for financing options? How big a ring can you get when we give you 3 to 5 years interest-free financing to make your dream jewelry more affordable? So this November, make sure you choose the Gold and Diamond Source for jewelry that's always stylish and unique, because your special someone deserves something to be thankful for, right? Find the perfect gift at the Gold and Diamond Source. Don't settle for factory-made imitations, folks. Make sure it's a Gold and Diamond Source diamond for a truly special piece of jewelry. It's the best folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source, 4800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Without further ado, let's bring in my good friend, longtime colleague, the great Tom Block, sideline reporter for Florida State University. Been working in Tallahassee for 3 decades. Nobody knows this program better than Tom. Tommy, how are you, my friend? And what's the mood like in Tallahassee? Dark days.
Yeah, the mood is about what you'd expect in light of the last 48 hours. You know, I'm doing all right though, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of numb to the way this whole thing went down. Not that I was completely surprised by it, but the reality of it just hits really hard. And it's not, it's not about me, but for this team, I mean, JP, I've been covering the team a while. I've been to bowl games. I've seen them win national titles, but these guys haven't had that opportunity, and they just got it pulled right out from underneath them. No chance. And Norvell's a great motivator, but I don't know how you motivate this group now to go play a bowl game after what just happened.
Well, Tom, I don't know if you saw this. We just got it on our air, and we played it earlier, where Paul Feinbaum basically admitted of the smoking gun. He said that the people in these college on the committee and within college athletics don't like Florida State because they tried to dissolve the ACC, get out of that horrible grants and rights, and they did it in public. And this was a payback. I said that yesterday on my show. People don't know much about this, but that would have cost ESPN hundreds of millions of dollars because they have such a great deal with the ACC right now. And FSU was just doing what was in their best interest. And Paul basically said, oh, these renegades, literally called them renegades. Said these renegades wanted to upset the apple cart, and this was the payback. He admitted it. I can't believe it, but thank you. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I can't believe he admitted that either. Well, my initial thought is Florida State's desire to leave the ACC to go get compensated more on par with the programs they hang out with. That's going to be there regardless of whether FSU was in the playoff or not. And leaving them out of the playoff is only going to motivate them to hasten the departure. And so I think there's a lot of irony there, and we all know Paul Feinbaum's been the mouthpiece of the SEC forever. And he likes to, poke and prod when it comes to FSU and all that. I don't know. I mean, Florida State, you lived here for a little while, JP. I'd be curious what the pulse of the Florida State folks in the Bay Area is. The reason for wanting another conference has to do with the revenue. But
Right.
but I've always felt like here with Florida, Tallahassee being located closer to Auburn and UF than any other ACC opponent, clearly in the SEC footprint, people go to work and they interact with Gators and Tigers and Tide fans and Bulldogs, and there's a lot of overlap there. And I think FSU fans just get exhausted at trying to defend the ACC and trying to say, no, Boston College is actually a better team than Mississippi State. Just because they're not in the SEC and they're 6-6, they probably beat Mississippi. It just gets exhausting to have those conversations time and again. And then you find out in a year like this year where the ACC actually did have a better record against the SEC and FSU had a better record than Alabama, didn't matter anyway. You know, it just gets fatiguing.
I agree. Tom Black joining us here. Were you in the room for the selection show?
No, I was not. But I can tell you when we landed in Tallahassee, the team charter landed at I think it was 3:09 a.m. So when we were taking off, it was 5 after 2 or something, and they made an announcement on the plane. They said, "Hey, everybody, before you guys fall asleep, just know that we're meeting tomorrow at 11. We're going to have a quick meeting, then we're going to talk about the schedules. We get ready for the playoff, that kind of thing." But if you process being on the field in Charlotte and in the locker room and euphoria and celebration, then you kind of wind down. You're on a plane at 2 a.m, and the next thing you know, you're getting up and going to a team meeting at 11 where you think it's going to be positive, and instead you get hit with what you got hit with. I mean, that is just 180 degrees. I mean, it's a gut punch. It's lower than a gut punch, right? And it feels like it lasted all day.
I can't imagine, the feeling when I saw that Alabama logo pop up will never leave me for the rest of my life. And I know that sounds melodramatic for an adult to say that, but I'm not, I'm just, tangentially involved here. I can't imagine, doing mat drills and stuff, for 5 years to get to this point and go through all the adversity that this team has gone through, losing to Jacksonville State and everything that they've gone through, and the fan base but the players and the coaches, but the players especially, what the work that they put in. And then those heroic performances at Florida and at Charlotte, well, you were on the sideline for. And Tommy, we've covered this team for a long time. Those two defensive performances in those environments, and you were there. Can you give us a sense of how unbelievable that really was? 38 possessions in those two games for those offenses, and Louisville's a damn good one. 1 touchdown aided by a ridiculous roughing the passer call. Can you put into words what you saw?
I don't know that I struggle to recall a better defensive performance than what Florida State did against Louisville. And winning at the Swamp is one thing, but that was a quarterback that was inexperienced. And so, much the same way Florida State wasn't the same offense without Jordan, Florida wasn't the same without Graham. But Louisville's quarterback is a 6th-year guy who'd run Brom's offense for a couple of years, and Louisville's one of the better offensive teams in the country, and they looked inept.
Yeah.
I mean, completely inept. And Florida State looked better at every position defensively compared to their counterpart offensively. Going back historically, it reminded me a little bit of the 98 win over Florida and Tallahassee, which people talk about Marcus Outzen for his throw to Peter Warwick, but what's left out of that is that was a really good Florida offense, and Mickey rushed 3 and dropped 8 all game long, and Doug Johnson and that Gator offense did nothing. They got 12 points, right?
Yep.
That's kind of the closest game. That's about the closest game I thought of. But that was important because that win got Florida State to a national championship game. So it was high stakes, just like this one was. Although, in retrospect, I guess Saturday night wasn't high stakes since it didn't matter for anything.
Yeah, but I don't want to ever forget that performance in that ACC championship. So, Tom, since you're on the ground there, what is the feeling right now as far as moving forward in this Orange Bowl? Because I see there's 2 ways to go here. And I think there's a groundswell building for this, because I don't know if you know this, but this is not just an FSU thing anymore. The nation is coalescing around this team because this is not just about FSU. This is about what's going on in the world. People are sick and tired of these big fat cat corporations screwing the everyday guy who works his ass off, does everything right, makes every move right, did everything they were told, and then gets effed in the end. And that's I feel it. It's all over the news. It's not just in sports. So I think there's a real groundswell for this. And you know that there have been split national championships, and there's every chance that FSU could beat Georgia and be voted number one by the AP and the coaches poll and claim a national championship. And I don't even think it's claiming it like UCF did. I think it's real. This is real. And I'd hang the banner and I'd mint the rings. And I think this team owes it to itself to coalesce around that. Everybody go down there, and I don't care how many Georgia players play or not, whoop that ass and claim that national championship. Is there any groundswell for that at all?
I think there's a groundswell from fans that I talk to. I've not heard of anything from inside Florida State about that. But first of all, I would say if they beat Georgia and the AP or the coaches vote FSU number one, that's not claiming a national title. That is the national title.
Yes.
Yeah, claim. Yeah, so definitely take that one. Claiming one would be more, okay, you win it, you're unbeaten. Now let's give them the Tom and JP national title, right? So they have one. I mean, Alabama's got about 8 mythical ones or whatever from pre-1930. We'll just add one to the mix. Yeah, I don't know. I'll say this. I mean, Mike Norvell is class all the way. He's about finish, work hard, represent. I mean, he's a high road guy, and I expect him and his program to be high road on it. I don't know, and he's a motivator, but if I'm Jared Verse and I'm Keon Coleman and I'm a lot of guys that are staring a lot of NFL dollars in the face, I don't know if I'm buying in to play that game. You know, now if I'm a third day of the NFL draft guy, maybe I can find the motivation to go back, but I think that's going to be a challenge there. But yeah, if you're 14-0 after what happened, and FSU fans made fun of UCF fans, this one feels a little bit different.
Way different.
It's different because of of opposition, Power 5, all that. Yeah, I would say claim it. And you know, back to your earlier point about the ACC, I lost my train of thought on this, but you know, FSU's catching flack for standing up and publicly telling the truth about the financial disparity between the leagues. And the ACC has always been a gentleman's league, if you will. And then meanwhile, the SEC spent, you know, their commissioners basically has an infomercial on College Game Day to get a team in. And it took the ACC commissioner until after the championship game to even advocate for FSU. So, I mean, Florida State just brought to light what's existed behind the scenes forever. And they're not the only ones that feel that way. They're the only ones in the conference that have spoken up and said that, though. So it's really interesting to me that Feinbaum just came out and admitted that the committee left them out because of that.
Yeah, Tommy, I think there's room here for that scenario that I just depicted. I really do. And I think it's the only justice that these players can get. And I understand the risks, but it is just one more game. You know, you can get hurt training in the offseason for the NFL draft. These guys have put in way too much work to let it go now. And I think if they just capitulate and don't go to the game, and I just think it's going to be a bad feeling. But your point is correct. It's not claiming. It's not claiming. This is how we decided a national championship for 100 years, right, by a poll. And if 2 polls say you're number one, you're number one. UCF didn't have the AP or the coaches poll name them number one. But this is a real scenario. And the other part of it, ESPN also admitted through Heather Dinich's column that it was about Jordan Travis, so that was their excuse, that they didn't like their offense. They weren't pretty enough. All right, so you've just destroyed the credibility of your playoff. You've destroyed it. You've admitted it's a beauty contest. It has nothing to do with what you did on the field. We want better ratings. Fine, at least you admitted it. So that gives it even more credibility to the AP or the coaches poll being the real national champion. Fair?
Are you suggesting, JP, that if Alabama and Texas win, and then Alabama wins the game, so they and Texas would have split this year, right? And they each have a loss, and Florida State's unbeaten. Do you think there'd be enough on the AP or the coaches' side that would actually vote FSU over one of those once beaten teams that just won the de facto championship game?
The beauty contest? Yes. I think there are still writers that have a soul and care about this game and the credibility of the game. And I know the coaches do. I don't think the coaches wouldn't flinch one bit. I think the coaches would, unless they were told unequivocally by their bosses, you have to vote for this, which I don't put that past them either. Yeah, I think they would, and I think they should.
Yeah, and to your point about the Jordan Travis thing, that felt like the narrative against FSU had started to turn before Jordan Travis went down, and then they just gravitated and said, let's use this. It felt to me like that really started probably with the Pitt game when FSU had they held Keon out.
Right.
They dominated that game, but they only won 24-7 or whatever it was. I forget. And then the next week against Miami, they really had that game in control too. And Miami got a fluke touchdown late on that bad safety angle. So it was closer. That's when it felt like that narrative started. And then once Jordan went down, it's like, oh, well, he's all they have.
Right.
And it's a joke. The shame of it is there's 10 guys that are going to be drafted, maybe more. I mean, you saw them on display on that defense. I mean, it's a damn good football team.
With Daryl Jackson being added to the mix too, who may be their best defensive lineman. Yeah, anybody who watched FSU this year, Tom, as we have, will tell you, as much as we love JT, he did not carry this team this year. He did not like he did last year and years past. And that's not a knock on him. He just played smart football. He let the other guys do what they needed to do to win games, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then we're all like, what's wrong with Jordan? And it's like, well, what's wrong is he doesn't have to run for 150 yards. He can hand it off to Trey Benson or throw it to somebody else. Yeah.
Damn him for playing a team game. Damn him. All right, Tommy, thank you so much for jumping on. I think we've illuminated a lot. Take that scenario that I outlined and send it over to Mike Norvell. And if he does that speech in front of his team, I want to see the video, because I think it's not just FSU Nation, man. The nation is coalescing around Florida State. I feel it. You can see it. It's out there on social. When CNN is doing stories on this in their news block, it's bigger than just football. So let's hope. That's the way I want to see it end. I may be pie in the sky, and I understand these NFL players, and I would not fault them for not playing. I would not fault them one bit. That's not what I'm saying. It's their choice. But let's go. We'll see.
Yep. And I look forward to Jordan being announced as the Heisman Trophy winner on Saturday, since he's the most important player in college football. So
college football history. Yes. All
right.
Exactly.
Thanks,
Tommy. Appreciate your time, buddy. That was great stuff.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I tell you what, I get goosebumps. I see a Mike Norvell speech, in that vein to his players. Show me the video of that and tell me that wouldn't just go viral.
Fire you up.
It's like, do not let them out. I'm going to write that speech tonight, and I will deliver it tomorrow on the show. And my best Mike Norvell, scratchy voice. I've been yelling all day voice. I'll have to work on that a little bit, but I'll have to come up with that. All right. We went over a little bit. Our apologies to all our affiliates across the nation.
Real quick, we're getting a lot of comments on the shirt and where they can get it. It's at smackapparel.com. I also just tweeted it out on all of our Twitter accounts. It's at FanStream Sports. It's at the JP Peterson Show. It's on FanStream JP, at IndyCar Timm. The link, the picture of it, everything's on our social media, so go check it out over there. Also, didn't mention, congratulations to Antoine Winfield Jr. He is this year's Tampa Bay Buccaneers nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
Oh, nice. Awesome. One of the great awards in sports.
Yes.
Not corrupted yet.
Not yet. Can't do that to Walter Payton, right? Come on.
Sure. Oh, yes, they can. They can.
Figure it out. He's gone now. So
how can we profit off of this? Which they're already doing, by the way. Oh my God. All right. Enough of my cynicism. You guys have a great day. We will be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. If you missed Boss Hogg, Good Old Boy Network speech in the first part of the show, you don't want to miss it. Go back and check it out. It's a classic. We'll put it out on some of the socials as well. Have a great day, everybody.